Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Wednesday, May 7th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast. Stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
All eyes were on Washington today. Mark Carney coming face to face with Donald Trump in the Oval Office as the U.S. continues its trade war with Canada. Despite hopes that this could be a turning point in the future of Canada-U.S. relations, Trump reiterated his call to make Canada the 51st state. But Carney pushed back, raising questions about where things go from here. Let's bring in CTV's Stefan who has the details on what happened during the meeting. Stefan.
Katie, by some accounts, political analysts say it went as well as anyone could have hoped. But for the average Canadian caught in the crosshairs of this trade war, without anything conclusive, this initial meeting may not be good enough, with a long road of economic recovery ahead. When it comes to the face-to-face meeting, it was a sit-down surrounded by a media frenzy. The U.S. president dominating on home turf, but made a point of being cordial and respectful. He said he wanted friendship from Canada, but also did not do away with suggesting we'd be better off as the 51st state.
I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
But some say perhaps reinforcing Canadian sovereignty is where Carney showed true strength. His elbows came up, reminded the president Canada is not for sale.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
Never say never. Never say never.
As you can imagine, Canadians were watching that exchange closely, Carney mouthing never repeatedly after the president tried to clap back, saying never say never. Among the many Canadians watching, two standout premiers like Alberta's Danielle Smith and, of course, Doug Ford here in Ontario. Here's what this province's premier had to say.
I thought they both were respectful to each other, and I thought it was a warm greeting. And I'm very confident that the Prime Minister it's a good start to a long relationship. And we'll have a great relationship once again with the United States and the American people.
The automotive industry in particular is still of special concern, and when asked if there's anything Carney could say today that could do away with tariffs, the U.S. president simply said no. The current trade deal, Trump said, Kuzma, is not dead, which suggests we may not be starting from scratch, which is also a fairly good sign. Also paying special attention were body language experts, and if you ask them, Katie, it shouldn't be downplayed that the president's body language spoke one of respect towards Canada's Prime Minister.
CTV's Stefan Keys reporting live for us tonight. Thank you.
Just hours after Alberta's treaty chiefs held an emergency meeting, they had a united message for a premier flirting with the idea of separation.
We're not going anywhere. And if you feel that you have problems with First Nations, you could leave.
Danielle Smith's talk of a potential Alberta separation referendum in 2026 has Indigenous leaders furious. Some have even threatened to stop any energy development and exploration on their lands until their voices are heard.
This is treaty country, and any talk of separation is really insanity.
The reality is, the chief's concerns will need to be heard in any separation conversation. And that's because the entire province is made up of treaty territory or national parks. Keep in mind, the logistics of Quebec's separation took decades to finalize before fizzling, and since then, Canada has only further acknowledged Indigenous people have the right to self-determination.
The treaties are binding legal promises between the Crown and Indigenous peoples. So in order to get the consent of Indigenous peoples, they would have to agree to walk away from that.
And that's a conversation that can't happen until the House of Commons has a say, and at least 2/3 of Canadian provinces representing at least half of the population would need to be on board.
Those next steps probably involve some kind of dramatic constitutional change, either Alberta becoming a fully separate country or some kind of new form of association.
Not to mention court challenges over our share of the national debt and new trade relationships.
It's really not within the realm of possibility.
Despite the challenges, the Premier won't speculate on the feasibility of the entire venture.
I don't have answers to those questions because until we see an actual active question and an active petition campaign, it really is just hypothetical.
Tower of smoke could be seen from much of the city today as a wildfire exploded along Anthony Henday Drive in West Edmonton. A wall of flame pushed by strong wind, consuming grass and trees, leading to nearby business evacuations and road closures. CTV's Jeremy Thompson is on scene tonight near 184th Street with the latest. Jared, how's that fire looking at the moment?
Well, Jeff, as you might be able to hear, that wind is still very strong at this moment. And just in the last couple of minutes here, we've seen a fire truck arrive at the wooded area just behind me here. The smoke has been sort of turning dark and then turning light as we've been here for the last hour or so here. And we are quite a bit south of where this fire began, around 12:30 this afternoon. Again, that wind just pushing these flames further along the Anthony Henday here. As you mentioned, that started closer to an industrial area, and several businesses, according to police, were evacuated as a precaution there. CTV News was on scene to capture some video shortly after the fire began. And you can hear that wind whipping as dark smoke stretches into the sky. Fire crews were on scene just 5 minutes after the call came in, battling high winds, hot temperatures, and dry conditions in the grassy wooded corridor beside the Henday. Edmonton Fire Rescue Services has 8 crews on scene. Meanwhile, police say are warning drivers to stay away. EPS has closed off at least the northbound lanes of the Anthony Henday from Stony Plain Road to 184th Street. The 111th Ave access to and from the Henday is also closed. As I mentioned, there are quite a few warehouses and other industrial type businesses nearby. Crews are doing their best to keep the flames away. One of those businesses nearby the current flames, just behind me here, is this Costco business center that I'm beside. They are still open business as usual there, despite these flames being, a few hundred meters away at most. We did also have the CTV drone up just a little while ago and got a decent view from the air of some of the activity. We saw what appeared to be setting up a water line in the ditch on the west side of these woods, between the woods and the Henday. And there was also an excavator right in the area that had been burned to the wooded area there, perhaps doing some hotspot control or fuel management activity. Again, this is still very much an active scene here, with crews doing their best to battle these conditions and put this fire out. Jeff.
All right, Jeremy, thank you. That's Jeremy Thompson in West Edmonton for us tonight.
As RCMP combed through woods and fields searching for 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, their stepfather Daniel Martel spends every evening conducting his own search.
As soon as I seen they were missing, I jumped right in the vehicle and I did every dirt road and searched every culvert.
The children are thought to have wandered away from their home in Lansdowne Station on Friday morning. Martel believes they were only gone for about 20 minutes before he and their mother noticed they were missing.
The very first day I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt.
Martel says the only concrete clue so far is a boot print found near the backyard of the property. RCMP haven't shared any additional evidence.
The officers and searchers on site are following up on anything that comes up that provides direction, provides specifics, and provides something that can be used to narrow the search.
Martel and the children's mother have been in a relationship for 3 years now. Malaya Brooks Murray told CTV News she's still holding out hope Jack and Lily will be found. She is now staying with family outside the county, and Martel says she hasn't spoken to him since. Hundreds of people have been searching for 5 days now. Martel is worried the children have been abducted.
Hardly any evidence at all since the first day. It's mind-boggling that nothing else was found.
The RCMP would not confirm if Major Crime is investigating.
There's a variety of teams who are applying their skills and expertise in order to assist in the search. I can't comment on what any of the specific teams are beyond what's involved in the search on the ground here.
Every day the children aren't found is taking a toll on Martel.
Just waiting and waiting and waiting for them to come home.
Todd, the media has been kept away from the command center today. RCMP and the search team had to move after being asked to leave a private property they were on. RCMP says this doesn't impact their operations. Todd?
Hafsa Arif, continuing our coverage from northern Nova Scotia.
How old are you? How old? 21.
Kieran McConnell, who joined the Vancouver Police in 1988, has held the rank of sergeant since 2004. Currently suspended, when he's reinstated, it will be at the demoted rank of constable. McConnell has admitted to multiple instances of inappropriate sexual conduct towards 2 female colleagues and 3 students he taught in criminology classes at various BC post-secondary schools. In its disciplinary decision, the OPCC said the admitted misconduct has a clear complexion of grooming and suggests Sergeant McConnell was either oblivious to social boundaries or contemptuous of them. Over a period of 7 years, McConnell sent unsolicited sexually charged messages to the complainants. In one case, he attempted to kiss a female student after climbing into a taxi she had called for herself. In addition to the demotion, McConnell will be suspended without pay for 20 days, not be eligible for promotion back to sergeant for a minimum of 12 months, and he's prohibited from applying to become a staff sergeant for 3 years. He must also attend counseling and take training on proper workplace boundaries with women.
This is not going to change the behavior of those that are participating in that behavior within the culture of policing.
Advocates for harassment victims within policing say he should have been fired.
He's going to get to go back to work with the same people who allowed this to happen in the first place. The place where he felt comfortable to display this kind of behavior for years without fear of anything happening to him, without fear of losing his job.
The decision also recommends Vancouver Police mandate standalone sexual harassment training for all staff. The VPD says a policy review is already underway. It says it will reinstate McConnell under the terms laid out by the OPCC. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
It's the busy season at Port Royal Service Centre, but one of the shop's top mechanics can only watch on from the sidelines.
We are worried, really worried.
Armando Garcilaso Castillo and his family came to Canada in 2017 as refugee claimants. They've been living and working in Montreal ever since, while their applications for permanent residency make their way through the system. But on Friday, the family found out they've been denied and have until May 23rd to leave the country.
We make everything right. We follow all the rules. We don't make nothing. So we don't understand why they don't accept us.
According to the family's lawyer, after the refugee claim was denied, the family asked to stay on humanitarian grounds. But the federal government decided the family was not sufficiently established in Canada, and that request was also denied. Armando's employer says the justification doesn't make sense.
If we lose Armando, we don't know what we're going to do. It's going to affect us in a very, very negative way.
Yves Joannette says already his business is falling behind, and finding skilled mechanics is difficult. Then there's the impact it'll have on the family's community.
Armando fixes cars on weekends for free for the Latino community. You know, like, we need people like this in Canada. I don't understand why they're sending them away like this. It's unbelievable.
Armando's wife and 26-year-old son are also being expelled from the country. Both have jobs and have built lives here in Montreal.
I don't feel good because I don't know what I'm going to do in my country after 6 years. Start again, find a job.
He says the hardest part is saying goodbye to his sister, who married a Canadian and now has permanent residency and is allowed to stay.
She want to live alone, so it's difficult.
The family and their employers are appealing to the local Member of Parliament, Patricia Latanzio, to intervene. Her office confirmed they are aware of the case, but referred CTV News to Immigration Canada. We still have not received comment.
We need help to have this family stay here. We need these people. We love these people. They're our family, and they are Canadian as much as anybody here.
Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
The sales of these celebratory sounds will soon be silenced in Kitchener and Waterloo. Some councillors citing concerns over safety and accessibility.
I was, in fact, assaulted with a firework, and it hit me in my face.
Ward 7 councillor Julie Wright says she was walking home from a drone show in Waterloo Park last Canada Day when a man shot her in the face with a Roman candle.
After you have an experience like this, you realize just how pervasive these issues are.
These issues aren't new. In the last 3 years, the city of Waterloo received more than 280 firework-related complaints. In the same time, Kitchener received 670, with 2 city bylaw officers also being shot at.
People have been hurt, and that has supported our recommendation to council for some more restrictive measures to come into play.
In both cities, fireworks sales will be banned starting January 2026. While Waterloo approved recommendations to restrict firework activity last night, the city still needs to pass a bylaw for the rules to take effect. But in Kitchener,
and the motion carries 8-3.
Councillors voted in favour of implementing new time limits for fireworks shows and increased fines immediately.
I feel like we have no choice but to go the route that we are going with the staff recommendation.
But not everyone in Waterloo Region agrees. Last month in North Dumfries, council voted against a sales ban.
I don't think the problem is the sale of the fireworks. And my council, I think, felt the same way. It's people's behavior.
It's a sentiment shared by Kitchener Mayor Barry Verbanovic.
I'm not convinced that simply restricting the sale locally is going to stop that bad behavior, to be frank.
It also won't stop people from buying fireworks elsewhere.
People are permitted to buy them online still, but they're going to have to plan ahead. And we're hoping that this sort of removes the, or makes it more difficult for people under the age of 18 to get access to fireworks.
The decision has one business owner flaring.
The solution they came up with to ban a sale of fireworks, that's really not going to solve any issue here. What it has done now, that responsible vendor like me, they will be out of business. This is definitely government overreach.
If people don't see a change, then people's trust of the rule of law and the fundamental systems that our democratic society is based on starts being called into question.
As far as a blanket ban on fireworks sales across Waterloo Region goes, regional councillors tell us there's nothing on their radar at this point. However, on a municipal level, many of those in favour of the ban in Kitchener and Waterloo hope to see more cities and townships get on board. Tony?
Okay, CTV's Alexandra Hollick with the latest on those decisions. Alexandra, thank you.
Dozens of small dead fish were spotted today at the beach at Marie Curtis Park in Etobicoke. And this is just a small amount. It was much worse a few days ago. Posts on social media show thousands of dead fish here and at Humber Bay Park.
Oh, like hundreds, more than hundreds. 200, 300, 400, something like that.
We reached out to biology experts at the University of Toronto and with officials at the Ministry of Natural Resources to find out what's going on. Here's what we've learned. The fish are called alewife, a type of herring, a species that has spread throughout the Great Lakes through the Welland Canal. Experts say, quote, there are often die-offs of this species during the springtime. The fish is found deeper in the Great Lakes, including Lake Ontario, throughout the summer months, but it can be found closer to shore in the spring when they may be spawning. It has been hypothesized that the warming temperatures of the surface waters closer to shore may stress them and lead to these deaths.
The fish doesn't look too old. It must happen a day or two ago.
Officials with the Ministry of Natural Resources tell us large springtime mortality events are common with this species. The reasons include a weakened condition after a long cold winter, stress related to spawning, and rapid temperature changes common in nearshore areas of Lake Ontario. No other species of dead fish is visible on the beaches. Experts say there is no health concerns. Gulls will feed heavily on the dead fish, so will other wildlife like raccoons.
Any meat, shall we say, that's out at room temperature in the sun is obviously going to deteriorate, and then other bacteria can colonize it. So you don't want to be handling it. You don't want your pets to be handling it for those reasons. But the scavengers will do a nice job cleaning up.
Experts say the remainder of the dead fish will break down quickly, given they are so small. John Musselman, CTV News.
The parking lot outside Windsor Assembly once again mostly empty. Another temporary layoff, which Stalantis says is part of the plant's transition to building 2026 models. But when workers return, they'll be entering a new shift rotation schedule.
It wasn't unexpected because when Donald Trump had first announced his tariffs, they said that they would be doing an assessment moving forward, and it could cause some type of alternate schedule moving forward as a result.
For most of the next 10 weeks, only one shift will operate at a time. Some weeks it's workers on shift 1, others shift 2. In a statement, Stalantis is not blaming U.S. auto tariffs for the changes. Instead, the company calls this another necessary step to support production transition into next year. But Unifor Local 444, which represents 4,500 workers at this plant, says they don't buy that.
We know it is tariffs causing all the problems around the decisions they're making.
Adding to the frustration, the postponement of a third shift that was expected to launch later this year. That plan, which would have boosted hiring inside this plant, now pushed to 2026.
I find it hard to believe that with everything going on and the threats, Donald Trump saying, they want to take jobs away from Canada, it's hard to imagine an instance where they would make an announcement where they're adding a third shift.
According to Unifor Local 444 President James Stewart, Stalantis has not indicated any intention to move remaining production out of Canada. It's good news, he says, but Stewart adds he's not putting anything past the company.
When we're getting attacked from the U.S. the way we are, the U.S. administration, I'm genuinely worried about the future of auto here in Canada. Genuinely worried.
And I also spoke with a few workers who did not want to go on camera, but they say right now their biggest concerns are whether or not this rotation of shifts will extend beyond the next 10 weeks or if that postponed third shift will truly launch next year. Stephanie.
Uncertainty all around. Sanjay Maru, thank you for this tonight.
Days after this ominous cloud of smoke triggered the evacuation of Peguis First Nation, some people will now be going home. This massive grass fire sparked by a human.
It's a shame that, some homes were damaged because of carelessness of an ATV.
Hours south in the RM of Springfield, a decision was made Tuesday to ban any backroad riding.
There's a lot of the exhaust heat up and touches the grass when the riders are riding, and it could potentially have a fire out in the middle of the bushes.
Fire Chief Brian Seaton says it's a part of the upgraded fire ban in the area just east of Winnipeg. The only flames allowed now are the ones inside a propane barbecue. Seaton says it's been an exceptional year for grass fires, with more than a dozen already on record, 2 of those from Tuesday.
So it's way too dry. It's very, very windy, and it's too hot at the present time.
Dozens of other Manitoba communities have made the call to impose burning restrictions too, including in Winnipeg and the RM of St. Andrews, where a full burn ban is in effect.
It's dry, don't burn. Simple as that. The fire bans get put on for a reason.
Seaton says Springfield's ban will likely stay until there's rain.
We need some really good, almost like a monsoon type rain, just to kind of wet things up and green things up.
Which may not be for at least a week because there's none in the forecast. Michelle Gerwing, CTV News, Winnipeg.